Hi, principals on the come up. Welcome to another evening of talking about ways that we can improve education. That's right, we are transforming schools into hallelujah success stories. Now, you know, every week we come on and we talk about ways to improve your school, especially those schools that are urban schools, that are school districts that are in need of extra support, and also our poor rural schools. So I want to know, are you ready to start school? Are you ready? Well, if you are, you're in the right place. Another question. If you're not ready and you're in the struggle, you're in the right place. So what we're going to be talking about today is the 7 pillars of the most powerful ways to produce a high quality school. And today we're going to start with the first one. And the first one is to create master teachers. Now, I know in our vernacular and the way we evaluate campuses, we call that the distinguished teacher. And when we are given instructions as administrators and principals and supervisors, we are just looking at proficient. We're just looking at proficient. And we're saying, you know, we're shooting for proficient. We're saying that if you make proficient, you are doing just mighty fine. But I want to tell you, you are not just doing mighty fine. If you're proficient, that means that you are just barely making it. You are doing just what the minimum requirements are. And if you're going to have a quality school, well, you are not going to be a school that is filled with proficient teachers. You have to have master teachers. So you said, oh my goodness, you know, I cannot have a school full of distinguished teachers. As a matter of fact, can I get just a teacher in every classroom? How about that, Dr. Pope? How about just one warm body with a degree that has gone through an alternative education program, who probably has not passed all of the tests? We're ready to give them some temporary certification so we can get this year rolling. Well, I feel you. I know. I've been there. I started where I was assigned to one of the lowest performing schools in the district and one of the lowest performing campuses in the state. That's right. We had stories of teachers who would get hired in November. We just couldn't find anybody. We have stories of teachers starting work on Monday, staying until Friday, and just never hear of them again. They're just gone. They're just gone. So I know the feeling. But guess what? Have no fear. Have faith. It can be done. Will it be done overnight? No, it didn't get that way overnight. And it probably won't get that way to where you have your distinguished teachers or your master teachers. But if we have a plan, we can work that out. If you want to produce a high quality school, then our vision, principles, is to have distinguished teachers. So where are we going to start? We're going to start with those proficient teachers. Now you say, well, maybe I don't even have proficient teachers. I need some that I just need to just move on from step 1 to step 2. Well, that's fine. It's fine to move on from step 1 to step 2. But first, let me tell you who I am. I'm Dr. Barbara Pope. I was chosen by the Texas Education Agency to go into low-performing campuses where the state identified those campuses as being in need of improvement. We turned those schools around, and then we made them, they were our hallelujah success stories. And that is the story that I had with my campus. We turned that campus around. It never went back to low performing over an 8-year period, with all of the teachers, all of the students understanding that we were going to be a high quality school. So what the first few things we want to look at is the way you become a high quality school is that you're going to mentor your novice teachers. Now, we talked about that on our last show. Hey, Jennifer, we did that. Yes, we did. Jennifer is one of our success stories. We just did everything that it took. Oh, another success story. Dr. Morrell Stewart, who is presently the new principal of Marshall Middle School in Beaumont, Texas. He was part of our success story. These are great people. They know that it was a lot of hard work, but we did it. Mentor your novice teachers. So you say, well, we got a lot of substitutes. Are we going to mentor them? Absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to mentor your novice teachers. And the way you mentor your novice teachers is you find those people who are your proficient, are your close to distinguished people, and you work with them. You make sure you have a plan. As I said before, I didn't have a plan. All I did, I received an email from Central Administration that says you have this many new teachers and you need to find some mentors for them. They didn't get an extra period off. They didn't get extra time off. They got a few little duckies, got a few little dollars. But that's how we mentored our novice teachers. Did it work? Yes, it worked. It worked for me simply because I had some fantastic teachers. I had some fantastic mentors on my campus. Everybody doesn't have that. Everybody doesn't understand how to do that. But if you want your school to be a high quality school, you're going to start out with your newbies. You are going to mentor those new teachers. We know that between 3 and 5 years, if we don't mentor those novice teachers, they're not staying. They're leaving. They're going someplace else. And then when you look at data from those new teachers, when they do their exit interviews, those new teachers are saying that they really enjoyed the school, but it was the leadership. It was the leadership. It was the leadership where they needed help and they didn't get the help that they needed. And so they're going someplace else. Where are they going? Sometimes they'll tell us and sometimes they won't. Sometimes they just want to transfer to another school district where somebody over there, their friend or their associate who was also a novice, has been in an environment where they feel comfortable. And we know that the majority of our teachers right now are coming to us through the alternative certification programs. And once those teachers are actually in the classrooms working with our students, we need mentors to help them. They don't know. They're doing the best they can. And if we're in an urban school, if we're in a poor rural school, if we're in a district that is in need of a turnaround, we need to be able to mentor our novice teachers. Our master teachers, let's look at our master teachers. And we're saying, we're gonna speak those words. Now, we say, well, we have some proficient teachers and we have some people, who want to be masters, who want to be distinguished. Well, I say, let's just speak that. Let's just speak that into existence. So what does a master teacher do? You may not be called a master teacher according to your evaluation, but I know a lot of you out there are master teachers. You just don't have that title. So let's look at what it's going to take for you to develop your master teachers. So the master teacher is one who knows where the students are. Teachers have a tendency to talk about, especially after the pandemic, to talk about, man, these students so far behind. I just don't know what we're going to do. I don't know where we're going to start, where we're going to end. They are just so far behind. How about this, master teacher? How about focus on their strengths instead of their deficits? Let's try to find something. Let's just try to find something good. I've told the story before when I was in sales. When you talk to your client, you try to find something good about your client. Try to find something good. I mean, I love that. I love the color of your eyes. I love your hair. I love your shoes. I love your shirt. Something. So we can start things off on a positive step. That's what master teachers do. They know where their students are. They know their student strengths. And they understand the behaviors for them to acknowledge the information that they have about the students, so that students understand and teachers understand the behavior that's required to understand the knowledge that these students have. Our students are coming to us with lots of deficits. We know that we have to understand their behavior in order to be able to know where they are. We have to allow flexibility in the classroom. That's right. You know, you can't walk around that classroom and carry a big stick. I'm the big boss. I run this. That may have worked. That may have worked back in the day, and it may still be working in some environments. But we have to allow some flexibility in the classroom. At the same time, we have to maintain that classroom control, because we are here. We have to motivate our students. We have a lot of reluctant students out there. You know, principals, at the end of at 10 o'clock, usually each morning, we have attendance that we turn in. That's how we get paid. That's how you get paid. Butts in the seat. Butts in the seat. So that means that we have to know how to motivate our reluctant learners. So you say, well, I'm not here to put on a show. I'm not here to make them happy. Well, you know what? How about you walking into an environment where you did not feel wanted, where you didn't feel as though you were going to be accepted, or you weren't having nice things said to you or about you? How about that? How about that? Put yourself on the other side. Put yourself on the side of that student. That's right. We know what we're dealing with. We know the issues that these children have. And some of us have no idea what the issues are that these children have. So that's what a master teacher does. They know where the students are. The next thing that a master teacher does is they know where the students are going. So do you know where you're going, master teacher? We're talking about standards. We're talking about the learning objectives. And we're talking about the activities. And in that order: standards, learning objectives, and the activities. Now, as a master teacher, you are going to unpack those standards. If you don't know, ask somebody. That's another thing about, the teaching profession, that we have just done ourselves a disservice. We think because, we got our degree, we got our certification, so now we know everything. Wrong, you do not. None of us do. None of us ever will. We are constantly learning. And the best of us will ask another teacher, how do you do this? I don't know how to unpack standards. I see that they are saying all the time we have to unpack standards. Would you show me how to unpack a standard? And I guarantee you that other master teacher will show you how to unpack the standards. And once you unpack those standards, then you're going to teach the content and you're going to teach the processes. How is this done? Here is what I have unpacked with this standard. Here is how I'm going to teach it. And here are the processes. This is how it's going to be done. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Know where your students need to improve. I know many of you right now, this past week, last week, some of you who haven't started school yet, you are looking at, now, they say, it's kind of morbid, to be looking at the dead data, but you have to have something. You have to have something to get kicked off. If you are new to that school or you're new to that district, you have to look at the data. You have to be able to say, well, this is where they are. This is where they are. So you need to know where they are if you're going to improve. And you need to understand where those learning gaps are. If you cannot determine where those learning gaps are, then where are you headed? It's like being on a football field. You have to know where you going to make the touchdown. Which way are you going to run? Are you going to run from left to right, or are you going to, run off field where it doesn't count? Are you just going to waste time? And I tell you, the biggest thing in teaching, because we know teaching is a hard job. I don't care what anybody says, teaching is a hard job. And we know that during the pandemic, we had parents and family and friends who absolutely realized it all of a sudden that it was a hard job. And it is a hard job. So that means that with all the obstacles that we have, we're going to have to put a little faith in this. We're going to have some faith in ourselves. We're going to have some faith in our colleagues. We're going to have faith in our superintendents. And a lot of things that, if we don't have faith in them, we're going to have to kind of do some things on our own on our campuses. For those of you who have worked with me, you know that, you have to do some things that you do know that's going to work, but it's all because we want our students to succeed. So we're going to have some faith. The next thing as a master teacher is that you are going to have to support the students along the way. I don't care whether you know the standards. I don't care whether you know how to unpack the standards. I don't care if you know how to set up your learning objectives. You have your activities. You know how to teach. You have your processes. You have all that stuff lined up. But guess what? You're going to have some kids who still are not going to get it. So that means that we're going to have to support those students along the way. So as you are doing your plans, as you are unpacking your standards, as you are doing your learning objectives and your activities, you are going to have to anticipate when the children are going to fail or anticipate where they're going to be confused. But don't wait. Don't get your results back and say, well, I don't know why they failed because I taught them this. Well, that's like you're a surgeon. Oh, I did an excellent surgery. Oh, it was the tops, but the patient died. Oh, so what's excellent about that? What is excellent about having your patient to die? It's the same thing with our students. You up there, you teaching your little heart out, but your students are not learning. Or you are not anticipating that they're failing. Or you are not anticipating that they are confused. It comes to that little small part of you supporting students along the way that makes the difference between students learning and not learning, between passing and failing, because you're not anticipating that. You have to anticipate that you are going to have some remediation for them. You're going to have interventions before the struggles derail them. Okay, now we have some students who are going to try, and they're going to try their hardest. But as the master teacher, we have to be able to identify that if I don't hurry up and get some remediation here, we're going to lose this one, because the struggling is about to have him or her to just throw their hands up. And let's focus on the acceleration rather than remediation. I know we have to do remediation, but let's not continue to look through the rearview mirror. Okay? Let's not look through the rearview mirror. Let's look forward. Let's look at those things that we know our students need. Now, within our standards, there's some standards that we know that our children absolutely have to know. They absolutely have to have. And then there are things in those standards that say, it would be nice if they would know this. And we know what those standards are. And when you look at your data, you know this. When you do any of your training, you know this. If you look at your standards, you know the standards that your students absolutely have to have. And you're going to move on. You're going to accelerate. So if they are in the 6th grade, you know what they're going to need in 7th grade. So you're going to accelerate, not continue to work on what they should have learned in fifth grade, although some of the things in fifth grade are important. You are focusing, you are looking forward. You are preparing them for that next grade. If they're in second grade and you know they have to be reading once they get into third grade, then you are not looking at all the stuff that they didn't get in first grade. You're going to look at some of the most important things because you're preparing them to move on to the next grade level. So once we start looking at the most powerful pillars to produce a high quality school, one of the first pillars is to create your master teachers. And you create your master teachers principles by knowing your students, knowing where the students are, knowing where the students are going, and support the students along the way. That's the only way. That's the only way that it has been done. As I go into schools, as I go into urban schools, as I go into the poor rural schools, and to those schools that are in need of improvement, I find that this is the only way that you can find success. And this is the only way that you can produce a high quality school. This is it. This is it. This is a pillar. You are going to have to create master teachers. And I know some of you principals say, I cannot create master teachers out of some of these folks I have. Well, let's just take it one step at a time. Let's just take it one step at a time. So if you have somebody that is proficient this year, then it's time for you to move them up to the next level. That's right. It's time to move them up to the next level. And that's going to be the focus. I mean, if you don't focus on it, it won't happen. It's like when you decide that you want to buy a certain kind of vehicle. And let's say, you want to, you want a Jeep. Okay. You want a nice Jeep. Maybe you want your Jeep to be yellow. Okay. And that is what you are just aiming for. Then all of a sudden, as you're driving on the highway, you start noticing yellow Jeeps. Why does that happen? That's because that's what you are focusing on. That's what you're focusing on. So the same way that all those yellow Jeeps start popping up, because that's your focus, the same thing is going to happen once you move your teachers from proficient to a higher level. All of a sudden, what did not seem possible, it's going to become possible because that's where we've set our focus. That's where we've set our vision. And we move them on up to distinguished. And the next thing we know, after a year, maybe 2, maybe 3 years, let's give it 3 years, you want a group of distinguished teachers. And guess what? When you are moving toward distinguished, when you are moving toward master teachers, what's going to happen? Your teacher attendance is going to improve. Your student scores are going to improve. Your climate is going to improve. Your culture is going to improve. All of a sudden, everybody's moving in the right direction. And that's what it takes as your first pillar to produce a high quality school. So as we close today, contact me through barbaraypoke.com. I'll be happy to have a conversation with you to talk about some of the things that you are interested in. It may not be just about you and your students. It may be just some consultation with you, as the principal. Just give me a call. barbaraypoke.com. So as we close today, next week we're going to be talking about another pillar that is powerful to produce a high quality school, because we are principals on the come up, where we transform schools into hallelujah success stories. See you next time.